Hey Steve, how are you?
Excellent, Hugo. How you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad that you're here with me and Destino. I wanted to talk to you specifically about your work that you're currently doing on the show Shifting Gears. Would you be able to start with your name and what you do?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Steve Olson, and I am a production designer.
Yeah. So, for a show like Shifting Gears, it's relatively new. You guys did one season. So, what was it like for you to receive that first script?
Well, that was great. The pilot was the first script, and they were kind of still developing the show when we got approached. They had a director. It was not fully cast. Um, the it was actually a different group of writers
Yeah.
than the writers we have now. But it was very exciting, very interesting because it had to do with a guy in LA who has a cool custom car shop, takes place in LA, his house is in LA, his workplace is in LA. It was going to be very now, contemporary and I think accessible. And so it was kind of exciting. And also Tim Allen is a big star, and his shows usually are very successful. He's very popular. So there was a lot of buzz. It was kind of fun. It was
Right.
yeah, it was really exciting. Yeah, we we um we actually jumped right into it as well. It was going to be a big show because this car shop,
Yeah.
Tim Allen is a car collector. So he's got all kinds of cool custom cars, older vintage cars, 70s cars, muscle cars, just all kinds of stuff. And so one of the first things we did is we visited his shop. And so he showed us all of his cars and his shop, which is kind of like just a museum to everything that he loves, cars, and he loves movie props, and it was very exciting, very, very cool. Um, this was going to be a big set because most of the show, or at least half the show, takes place in the car shop. He's
Okay.
working on real cars. We had to have cars up on lifts. We had to have guys, do cars that need body work. You know, it had to look real. And so
Right.
so that was a big challenge. It just like doing all the research. There's a lot of car shows where they're inside of shops. We
Yeah.
watched a lot of car shows, hot rod shows, and they're also the hot rod places in LA. All of them have websites, so we just like inundated ourselves with what every kind of car shop did, and you start to see the kind of equipment they used and everything, and we went to, Tim has, of course, he's got a car guy,
Yeah.
and he's got that guy has a big shop. And that's like where the real stuff happens. Like Tim's shop is kind of like a showroom.
Okay.
This guy, his name is Bodie, he had the real shop, and he's been making hot rods for 25 years,
Very cool.
and for all kinds of stars, not just, Tim Allen, but all kinds of stars. And people with money, because let's face it, if you're making hot rods, you got some money to burn. So this guy was super helpful and like taking us through every like piece of complicated equipment and telling us what they do and how it works and how the guys operate it and where it would be in a shop, and really it was like the brains of it. And then
Yeah.
got the set decorator involved, and she made a trip there and literally convinced the guy to let us use his equipment.
Oh wow. Yeah, that's
Like, he's
great.
like, sure, and so we shipped a bunch of his equipment to our set.
Okay.
And so, because it really had to be real. That was one of the things that Tim sort of hammered on, is like it has to be real.
Yes.
And so it has to look real. What the guys are doing has to be real. I mean, we're not, I'd say we're not actually building a car from the bottom up, but we ended up doing that this during the season. We brought in a car
Oh,
that
wow.
they built,
Yeah,
and you could see the progression through the episodes.
cool.
But and then in addition to that, the writing has to be real. So if they're talking about what this car is coming in for, what the guys wants done to it, all that had to be real. So that was a whole, like in series, that was an educational process for the writers.
Yeah.
Like so that there was, you know, it made sense what they were doing, and what they were bringing the car in for, and then you would have to see that car go through that process.
Yeah, because the
But
fans would know.
the fans would know, and this I have to reiterate, this is a multicam sitcom. It's a 22-minute show, audience sitcom, and we're basically running a car shop.
Yeah, I heard all about your sets. I mean, I got to see them, the drawings, but I heard about how gigantic these sets are because they're above, like beyond the
It
normal.
is kind of beyond normal,
Yeah,
just because we had to be able to fit 4 or 5 cars in. Plus,
sure.
there's like an upholstery area. The car on the lift takes up a lot of space, a big safety concern as well.
Yes.
And even at that, Tim is like, I need it to look bigger.
Oh, wow.
And he had done some work on, he had obviously did 2 seasons of Santa Clauses,
Yeah, that's right.
or the Santa Claus, whatever, the TV show. And they used a virtual screen, the what do you call it, the wraparound
Yeah, exactly.
screen in that to create, I think a Santa Fantasyland, which was all done virtually. And
Right.
he's like, can we just do a virtual set, like behind our, like through an archway and see a whole shop work? Well, we did what we could do. I mean, when you do that, you have to either create it digitally,
Yeah.
takes months and months and months and months, or you have to go film it. You have to have it, a film content of a shop in the works. Well, we did a backdrop.
Okay.
So a static backdrop, uh, that you see way upstage, but you don't really see it because it looks just like our shop, and it
Mhm.
makes the set look twice as big.
Yeah.
And it's an illusion, and I challenge anybody to see it, to like say there it is, because you can't.
No, and I also heard about how your garage door is functioning, so you guys
Yeah,
have to see outside through
we
it
see
out.
outside, and the way the stages were set up at Disney, we shoot on the Disney lot, is the elephant doors, which are the big doors that open up on the
Yeah.
stage to allow you to bring all the scenery in, and they're called elephant doors because they're as big as an elephant, but they're bigger. But so those doors on our shop, we had to make line up with, or the doors on the stage, we made line up with the doors on our shop.
Okay.
So they push a button and the doors raise up, and we could see out into the back alley behind his shop, which of course we had to create because
Yes.
otherwise it just looks like the Disney backlot.
Yeah.
So we had to create, a back alley space, and then they wrote in a character who has a dance studio over there. So that facade had to be built into the alley facade, and kind of during the season they turned that into a whole acting space because there was confrontations out in the alley and cars pulling up and all kinds of business happening out there,
Yeah.
which we didn't really anticipate in the beginning. So that whole
True.
which normally a multi-cam sitcom doesn't have an outside set.
No.
I've got permanent outside set, but that whole thing evolved. And then, of course, we have his house. He has a home, and he up to the moment of the pilot, he has been a widower. He's been living single, a very kind of minimalistic life. And his daughter moves in and brings her 2 kids, and she's divorced and is broke, and she needs to move back in. And so his sort of private, very controlled life is
Mhm.
kind of turned upside down with the arrival of his daughter, who's a little bit of a mess, and her
Yeah.
kids, who are just really full of energy, kind of, and just like drive him kind of crazy, but he loves it.
No, it sounds a lot of fun, especially like you said, these like being able to build out the world with these large sets definitely is something that you can get really creative with and also get really involved with your team.
Oh yeah, it was really fantastic. The set dressers, just a fantastic team. And when you're doing something like a car shop that has to look realistic, like
Yeah,
every inch of the space has to
right.
have all that tech stuff in it and tools and power cables and pneumatic tube, all the air tubes, cables, and they just nailed it. They just had it so great. Um, and the other thing you have to sort of balance is like, okay, this is a car shop, and like the car shop we were basing it on was the one that we went to was really pretty messy. I mean, it was really like
Oh,
a
right.
lot of work had been done there.
Yeah,
Tim didn't want it to be messy. He said really a custom car shop, it should be cleaner.
yeah,
Then he was like, this could be a little dirtier. Still, this is a little too. So it's just finding the right balance of like this kind of clean artist space because
sure.
he sees a car designer as an artist, and he's got an art studio, his design studio in the shop where he does the illustrations of the cars for the clients, and he has client meetings. But he wants the space to have kind of an artist studio feel,
Yeah,
but it also has to be you know there's oil spill, there's dirt, there's like so we had to find the right level of grunge.
right.
I think our set dressers and our painters really, nailed it. And it was a evolving process because, we're kind of discovering this as we go through the season and new scripts come in and new plot lines come up and we start exploring the space in new ways. And we're like, oh yeah, we should develop that area, or maybe can we move that guy's upholstery area down here so it's closer to camera. And so the it kind of was a little bit of a living, breathing organism in the first season. Things kind of moved around and
Right.
changed a little bit in the shop, and likewise in his house. Like I said, he started when it starts. He's not a bachelor. He's a widower. He's living alone, and then when these kids and his daughter show up, then all their stuff starts to kind of
Yeah.
populate and be everywhere, and
All the havoc.
and yeah, and a little bit of mess goes a long way with the character Matt. Matt just doesn't like a mess, and
Yeah.
so that turned into a fun kind of plot line for him, or just it's a character trait of him uh, needing to have everything in order, and the kids just not agreeing to that, so to speak.
Yeah, no, and aside from that, I mean, the sets are characters themselves too. They add to the story, obviously, and like you said, if not done properly, the audience could be taken out of the story if it doesn't feel like a real shop, for
A
example.
real shop, or if it doesn't feel like his house,
Yeah,
and so the space has to kind of match the character, and so we have to kind of dig inside of this character Matt Parker, to figure out like who he is. And we're doing a pilot in the first episodes of a show,
hmm,
and everybody's trying to figure out who everybody is. It's like that, like a pilot is kind of like a birth, and then when you start doing the first season, it's learning how to walk. So the show's
right.
learning how to walk, kind of, and like figuring out the world. And so everybody is trying to like just figure out what direction the characters are going to go in, and how it's going to grow. And so I'm really kind of looking forward to this second season
Yeah,
where we don't know what's going to happen yet. There's a lot of things were kind of left on the cliff, at the end of the first season, and you're
right.
thinking, is somebody going to hook up with somebody? Is there going to be a relationship here? What's going to happen with this thing? And so there's a lot that's kind of left open for us to start exploring when we start working again on this in about a month. So.
Right. And I wanted to ask you, how do you handle notes or last minute changes, specifically from like the writers or even I assume from Tim, you getting
Oh
notes?
yeah, yeah. Usually when it's a last minute note, it's
Yeah.
it's gonna be more to do with like dressing, but I the advantage I have is my decorator Jerry Kelter
Yeah.
worked for, I think, maybe not all 9 seasons, but at least 7 seasons on Last Man Standing with Tim
Okay.
Allen. So
Yeah.
she knows him. She understands that there can be changes, especially if it's a set that's like we had to do his bedroom. And so
Okay.
he's gonna have a note about it. And she's like, "Oh yeah, he's gonna have notes and we're ready." And and so it's to be prepared, to not be, not be surprised by a note, but just be
Right.
ready to attack it. And you kind of don't know where the notes are going to come from, really, because a writer could have a thought, oh, I really thought it was going to be this, or a studio or network person could say, don't you think it should be this? And then the writer is, oh, yeah. And then you get a note and you're like, oh, okay, well, when do
Yeah.
you want to see this? Well, tomorrow morning. So you got to really be ready. You just got to be flexible. You got to
Right.
be ready to pivot
Yes.
and to not let it fluster you. It's got to be like, okay, let's do it. Let's like figure this out. You take a few minutes, you discuss things, and then people got to scatter and like get what you need to do to make the change. Sometimes it's an easy change.
Right.
We had the network came through on the pilot, and they're looking through the kitchen, and they looked at like everything, and they go, it wouldn't it be nice if their coffee maker was a color, instead of black, and we're like, sure. And they're like green. And we're like, you got it.
Yeah,
Coffee
exactly.
maker coming up. And so that was the note. That was the
Yes.
note. Green coffee maker.
And if
So
you can't find one, you paint one.
yeah, exactly. But I mean that's rare that you have that, and not that wasn't the only note we had gotten, because we had gotten notes through the process from our writers, and so we got to a point with Tim and with our showrunners and writers that we really liked the set, and
Yeah.
when the network came in, they kind of knew that we were that we liked it, and this is why. And so I would say they were reserved, but they wanted to contribute, and so they did, and they gave notes on that. I don't think we got any notes in the car shop. The only note we've gotten has been from Tim, and it's just about aging. And so like, could
Okay.
there be like an oil spill over here by the door, or like maybe there could be a drain by the door? Like, I think he most of the time he's like totally absorbed in acting and being in the character or whatever. But I think maybe sometimes between the scenes, he's looking around the shop and he's like, that tool wouldn't be there. What would be there would be this tool. And then you
Right.
go to the prop guy, and I mean, we've got great on-set prop guys, all the tools, on-set dressers. We've got an on-set transpo team. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, because cars have to move, like
Yeah.
for camera, they have to move like for different positions on,
Yeah.
or if you got to get we've got three a dolly, um two peds, and a crane, like a techno crane.
Yeah.
It's like a lot, and then like big sound booms. And so when they move around, you got to move cars.
You do.
And like there's a team of three people, and a lot of what they do is make sure that no crew member actually backs up into a car
Oh,
with
right.
a wrench in their back pocket.
Yeah.
Like you can't get a scratch on these cars. No, you just can't.
Well, with that being said, I wanted to talk about the team that you have over there because I know it changes from project to project, but who did you get to work with on this project?
Well, I mentioned Jerry Kelter, who's a decorator that I've worked with quite a bit.
Right.
On this project, it was most of the people from Last Man Standing. So
Okay.
the director of photography, the costumer, most of the entire camera crew, sound crew, just like construction crew. Everybody came from Last Man Standing.
Yeah.
That production designer on that show had retired at the end of the
Sure.
show.
Yeah.
And so I've been called and sort of put on alert. They said we're going to offer it to him. They want us to offer it to him, but he's probably going to say no. And when he does, then we'll offer it to you. And so that's what happened. Uh,
Great.
Bernie Visca. So I was coming into a team that had um, pretty much all of them had worked with Tim for years.
Okay.
But I was the new guy.
You were the new
I was
person.
the new
Yeah.
guy. Yeah, I was the new guy. And I did know most of these people
Yeah.
because I've been in this business for 25 years, and over the years you get to work with different crews on different shows.
Mhm.
And so I knew most of the people, I knew the producers, and even the pilot writers I had worked with on a couple of shows.
Yeah.
So that really helped because just even to have an experience on a show, whether it's good or whatever, I mean, it was or 20 years ago, it's nice to have that, it just makes it a little bit easier when you're coming up with a new concept for a show with somebody. It makes communication a little bit easier. Nobody's kind of intimidated. You,
Right.
you've already broken that, that barrier, and you can, Tim was new for me, so we had to kind of break that barrier. You know,
Right.
he had to find out who I was, I had to find out who he was, and so through the design process, um, we sort of got to know each other, and then as the series went along and he saw the sets come in from for each episode, I think he got more and more and more, what's the word? Not confident, but
Yeah.
comfortable, just like relaxed and to the point where you could have a conversation with him, on stage about a TV show that you're watching or something. You know what I mean? So
Right. Yeah. Because
yeah, just a little bit loose.
he got to know well, specifically your talent and what you were bringing to the table, and I assume like that was kind of his way of being able to approach you with certain things and being
Yeah.
comfortable with bringing up topics that would mean either like giving either changes or even good thing that he like gives that admiration to.
Yeah, yeah, and a good thing that he had a lot of people that he's worked with before,
Yeah.
and so and for a long time, so he knows if there's a note about something on over the desk or a chair or a couch or something in the kitchen, he knows it's a set dressing note, and he
Yeah.
knows exactly who to call.
Right.
And I don't get a
Great.
call in my office to say, hey, we need to get a different cutting board or
Right.
something, or like he knows who to talk to, and so everybody's really great at their jobs. Our DP was Don Morgan, um, who's got like 20 something Emmys for his work on TV shows. He's just fantastic.
Yeah.
And uh, the the prop man on the pilot was Hardy Gates, but now it's Jeremy. What's Jeremy's last name?
Armstrong.
Armstrong. Yeah,
Yeah.
Jeremy Armstrong is doing the series, and I'm assuming everybody's coming back to do the new series. It
Yeah.
really or it's the new season. Everybody really got along great, and it was just, yeah, it was just a fantastic team, I thought. Just a really great team. And we're coming back for 10 episodes to start with, and hopefully it'll go into maybe more.
Maybe more. Hopefully, I hope so. And with that being said, I wanted to talk about your other show, Night Court,
Yes.
which we got to collaborate on.
Yeah.
And I wanted to know specifically what was it like for you to come into a show that had already existed in the 80s, and it was a callback. And
It,
oh
it it was interesting because I've come into a show that somebody else had done the pilot before, so the main sets were designed, and I was coming in as the production designer for the series.
yeah,
So basically, I'm keeping the main set, um, maintained, and if it grows at all, I have to make it grow in a
sure,
proper way that it matches everything, and then dealing with the swing sets. So I had done that before on a couple occasions. This is really interesting because um, it already existed, so it was a really pretty authentic recreation of the original set
yeah,
with some contemporary modifications, like in the cafeteria to make it, there wasn't a newsstand because nobody buys a
right,
newspaper anymore. So it was a coffee stand, which totally makes sense. And so it's a little bit updated, but it was kind of great. There's kind of a fun um, sort of challenge in working on something that has a history.
Yeah, exactly.
Has that we did it. I was lucky enough to do one of the live in front of the studio audience shows. We recreated different strokes
Oh,
and
okay.
the facts of life. And I had to like do a museum, but a living museum quality replica of the different stroke set.
Yeah.
You
Oh,
know, so it's the
yeah.
same kind of thing. You have to honor it,
Right.
and then give it all of your design passion, even though the set already has been designed and kind of exists in the ether in the world.
Right.
For Night Court existed, it already had a history and then it already had a season of work on it. So you still have to approach it with the passion that it's your baby, and
Right.
you have to kind of honor it. You have to if something calls for something to be improved or something needs to be altered for better filming or something. I mean, it's just it still taxes, 99% of your design skills. You don't have to come up with the original idea again,
Yeah.
but you still have to approach it with sort of passion. It has to be your baby and I do that with all my shows. I really put a lot of myself into them. I
Sure.
think it's important to sort of commit to the show and to really make it part of you, and to not just I don't know. I don't ever blow anything off. You know what I mean?
Yeah, of
It's
course.
100%. I like to just dive in and just really commit on a show. Um, Night Court was really wonderful. I mean, again, it's a whole team that was already together. So I was like the new guy on the team. And but I knew almost everybody there,
Yeah.
and from one show or another at some time we had worked together. So they're like, "Hey, it's Steve. Hey, welcome." So it was really great. It was really great to walk into that. I felt very welcomed and it was a great home for 2 seasons. And sorry to
Yeah.
see that it's not coming back.
I know it's something that we were all looking forward to, but I wanted to ask you, for example, on the swing sets for Night Court, how do you determine the size that you're gonna need depending on the script? How do you break that down?
Well, sometimes your stage space dictates your size.
Yeah.
We didn't have a lot of swing set space on Night Court. We had what we called the big space,
Hmm.
approximately 20 or 30 by 40, and then we had a small space, maybe 20 by 20.
Yeah.
And you could fit a little jail cell in the little space, but you had whatever. If there was something small, it would go there. A jail cell, a storage closet. We would have to put in a small space, a little bit of a hallway, an elevator. You had to think in those terms. And then in the in a in the bigger space, you do like a bigger set, like a bar set or
Yeah,
a
exactly.
disco we did. And then we did have at the end of the first season, the showrunners approached me and they said, "We want to do something really special at the end of the season because Roz is getting married and
Yeah.
they want to throw her a big wedding, a reception. And we don't want to do it in the courtroom and we don't want to do it in the cafeteria. We want to do it in a special place." And for the most part, they had been in the courtroom or in the courthouse. You'd seen basements and
Yeah.
jail cells and hallways and different rooms that were smaller rooms. They said, "We want to do this in the grand lobby
Yeah.
courthouse."
Exactly. A whole nother
And
mindset.
and they understood that we didn't have the room to do that unless we took out the cafeteria. So
Yeah.
then they would have to write the cafeteria out of that episode and let us put up this really quite large, um, kind of fabulous courthouse lobby. And we're not a big budget show. So even when you open that space up, by taking a set out, you still have a limited amount of space and you have a limited amount of money. You can't, it doesn't mean that
Right.
the purse strings just opened up and
Yeah.
money fell out of the sky. You don't
You
have
have to
that.
get creative.
You have to get really creative and just, know how to do things efficiently and work to the advantage of your craftspeople. We have really good painters, and
Yeah,
so and they're fast, and so I know that we can assign them the job of, painting all these travertine to look really good. Whereas if we tried to do it with a custom wallpaper or something, it would be enormously expensive and probably still take the same amount of time. So I knew that we had good painters. We could give them the paint work on it, and it would, we have great construction crew too. I mean,
yeah,
fantastic, fantastic crew on this show. And they saved our asses more than once. They're just, you think about a set and they're like, "Oh, we got started on that for you." And I'm like, "I just
exactly.
thought of it." And they're like, "Yeah, but we got it. We already started building walls." And but they're great. They're fantastic.
And
Uh, Cliff
that's
Whalen,
exactly what you look for, especially for a team to be able to handle projects like that and to not question anything and to have the answers for you.
just to
When
be able to rely on people
yes,
and just know that they're not going to let you down. They're gonna step up. And so it was really special to because that's the first time I'd worked with Cliff Whalen and his crew, and
yeah, it
so to step onto a show and just have this fabulous crew was just wonderful, great.
was
I mean,
fun.
just everybody was they couldn't have been better. So it was just really kind of a special, um, kind of wonderful, and not super hard show. I mean, the hardest part was just trying to get things done within a budget.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a very tight budget, and sometimes we were tight on time, so
True.
you had to work really fast. But Connie is super fast, and so that's Connie is the assistant art director on the show, and is just like super fast, and she's been doing this for 25 years as well, maybe even longer. So doesn't get flustered by anything, and so and knew these guys, the construction crew, very, very well.
True.
So that whole machine was already purring perfectly. That was just a well-oiled machine that I just had to, get behind the wheel
Yeah.
and not crash it.
Well, thank you, Steve. I appreciate the time you gave me and to be able to talk to you about all the stuff that you've been working on.
Absolutely. I really enjoyed it.
Thank you.
All right.